Hello everyone, welcome to Core IQ. We're actually up to episode number 40, episode 40. We're here with Tanya Brown. Everyone on planet Earth knows who Tanya Brown is. We've been fortunate enough to be friends for decades. Love having you here. Love talking to this stuff with you because you've both lived it and you know it academically, and you know you're book smart as well. So we're here to talk about trauma. We're here to talk about how we deal with a crisis in our lives. And there's a model that I've been working on for years and years and years. This is it. It's post-traumatic thriving. And basically, we're going along, and here's performance, and here's time, and we're going along kind of a baseline. Everything's kind of cruising along. Then there's a trauma, and it could be a death, a divorce, drugs, disease, depression. It seems like they all start with a D.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. The difficult Ds.
Right.
That's what I say in my book about the difficult Ds. And then we have three choices, really. We can dive and never return to the pre-trauma life of the baseline, or we can work our way back to the baseline, that's survive, so we can dive or we can survive. And that's really cool when people get back to their baseline. But what I've kind of kept my eye on are thrivers. I call them post-traumatic thrivers. And this has kind of been my observation, having worked on crises and disasters all over the world, including working with your dad a little bit on your situation.
Right.
Yeah, so that's kind of the model. Trauma affects like everyone.
Everyone. And it can happen on any level. Again, it's not, trauma is immeasurable, right? You mentioned it. So sadly, I know people who have had a trauma. Oh my goodness, my friend's, our family friend's son died 30-something years ago. She's still here.
Yeah.
So everybody is different. This is the whole goal behind Core IQ, is to take you from this to that.
Bingo.
Because we don't want you to stay stuck.
No, we don't.
I mean, imagine being stuck here for 25 or 30 years.
Yeah, and if you're stuck, it's not judgmental. It's just that's the way things are. But the goal here is to kind of move it up.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, here's the statistics, 66 to 85% of everyone at college age has been through at least one trauma.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at my own life, and I feel like I've been pretty, blessed. But I can think of 4 or 5 traumas that have happened to me. Obviously, you've had some, and maybe as we go through this, you, to the extent you're comfortable, talk about them.
Absolutely.
But of course, we all know about the loss of your sister and the trial and the whole ridiculous verdict and the whole thing.
Right.
But let's work through the actual stages. Now, let me give you the big picture how I kind of engineered this model. In school, we hear a lot about, in psychology classes or something, we hear about the 5 stages of grief. Well, they're kind of built into the model. And then in academic literature, when I was doing my doctoral studies, I came across something called post-traumatic growth. And there's literature here that's referenced, but that's basically certain things we do to kind of hit this thriving model. So what I did is I used all of it. I kind of put a bridge in here between the two. I came up with a dive, survive, and thrive model. And then here's 15 steps to kind of work our way from the very bottom to the very top. Now I got to tell you something really important. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time. It's taken you years. It's taken me years to work through some really big challenges. But it can be done.
Absolutely.
So the benefit of post-traumatic thriving is it gives us kind of a roadmap. But we don't want to jump ahead prematurely because then we don't have genuine, authentic healing.
Right.
And the other thing is we might be up here thriving. That doesn't mean you're not going to occasionally visit or revisit the shock or the anger or the denial.
Absolutely. That's a good point. That's really a good point. We all fall off the track.
Yeah.
Right? But again, this is the whole premise behind Core IQ, is to give people tools and resources, because imagine all those people out there who don't have tools, coping skills, or resources. They don't know how to get through this to be a thriver.
Yeah, and I know you're a life coach. You help people with a lot. A lot of people ask, what's the difference between a therapist and a coach? My understanding is that a therapist has very strict laws. You cannot go to lunch with your therapist.
Right.
Okay? Whereas a coach, you're not burdened by all of that.
Exactly.
And you can be a little more, like you can go to Starbucks.
Layman.
Yeah,
exactly.
hang out a little bit
Real.
better.
Be real.
Yeah.
You know, again, being a therapist, you have the Board of Behavioral Sciences, which is
Right.
like the umbrella, and they watch you like a hawk.
Right.
So when I was going through graduate school, I realized that I didn't want that lifestyle.
Bingo.
Yeah. So I didn't want to, I've been in a box for 25 years, you know, I mean, living in a box of trauma, but I've healed at the same time.
Yeah.
So life coaching and public speaking was basically doing the same thing, helping people move forward,
Yeah.
but not in a box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been to your website, TanyaBrown.net.
.net.
Do I
Yeah.
remember that?
Yep.
TanyaBrown.net. I recommend everybody take a visit there because you got some great resources there. And the thing that I love a lot of things about you and your family, but the thing that really I'm so glad I have to talk to you
This is
with
good.
this model
Yeah.
is that you've lived it in real life. And you know the science, the behavioral science
Yeah.
behind it.
Yeah.
So let's
Yep.
walk through
Dive in.
these 15 steps.
Perfect.
So you're going along, everything's chill, everything's cool. Boom, there's a trauma, the difficult D's, and the first thing is shock. Yeah.
What's happened?
Yeah, just shock.
Yeah.
And there's a physiological change.
Yes.
That our heart rate.
You get sick.
Yeah.
You sweat, you get clammy.
Right.
How I like to look at it is you're going up a hill of a roller coaster and you don't know what's going to hit you.
Right.
And that's the trauma coming. It's like you don't know what's going to come your way. So here you're about to go up this wonderful roller coaster. You're having fun, you're excited, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, what am I
Right.
experiencing right now?
Yeah.
So shock came to me in a numerous ways. So of course the murder of my sister.
Right.
Living in disbelief for almost 2 years that this even happened. I thought it was a drive-by shooting at first.
Yeah.
That was my initial shock. But also the cancellation of my wedding in 2004. He canceled my wedding for 4 days before.
So that was shocking.
That was shock. That's when my face actually started, shifting and my lips started turning blue and my mom's hitting me. I mean, no domestic violence in my house, but my mom was slapping me because
Right.
I was in such shock that he canceled.
Yeah, that
Disbelief.
shock is a stunning disbelief and it's paralysis to the core. It is sad,
Painful.
it's difficult to see, it is physically painful.
Painful.
Your brain is releasing all kinds of chemicals to offset it. Some people pass out,
Yep.
but that is a very real reality of life. When my dad died, that was very shocking. I had, I don't know if I think I've told you, when I was 11, I had to have open heart surgery.
Yes.
And for the first time I heard that, it was like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, that's other people, not
Doesn't-
me.
yeah.
And my mom's kind of worked it into a conversation. I need to have open heart surgery. I was literally in shock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, really fast, too,
Yeah.
just to expand on that. So shock can affect you, but also somebody else,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So when I was diagnosed with melanoma, guess who was shocked? Not me. Denise was shocked.
Oh.
Because a year before, her best friend died of melanoma.
Oh.
So shock can not only affect you, but a loved one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So the next step, denial.
Yeah.
I remember when my mom said you have to have open heart surgery. I was like, no. I mean, denial.
Right.
I mean, did
Same-
you have a similar thing?
Oh, same thing, absolutely. Well, one with Nicole's murder, I was like, this didn't happen, right? So
Right.
I was in denial in that case. But then also denial with my melanoma, denial in the cancellation of my wedding. It's that this isn't happening. Like, this is just a dream, and I'm going to
Yeah.
wake up from it.
Right.
Yeah. I want to really say to your viewers that it's normal, so you're not
Cool.
going crazy.
Yeah, it is normal, but it's no
Yes,
fun.
it's no fun.
Okay, so then the next one is anger. I remember with your situation, Denise is a very sweet, really cool person,
Mm-hmm.
but at that moment, she was pissed.
Angry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was
Pissed.
really mad. Yeah,
Yeah.
we can say pissed.
Let's say pissed.
Yeah, she was really mad.
Yeah, but with trauma comes all these emotions. I mean, my God, hate, anger, like you really, really hate. It's the craziest.
Yeah.
My emotions, suicide, anxiety, depression, very familiar.
Right.
But anger, oh my God, last year with my own trauma, I'm a survivor of a trauma from last year. Oh my gosh, my mom didn't even want to be around me.
Right.
She says, you have to stay away.
Your mom loves everyone.
I know. She didn't like me at that time because my mom had a stroke 2 years ago.
Oh.
She goes, you need to just shut up with this. She goes, because I'm going to have another stroke.
I gotcha.
I was horribly angry.
Yeah.
Angry. Now, the whole thing, too, with all these steps, and we'll get to it, but they're not sometimes sequential.
No. Yeah.
Grief is messy. Trauma is messy.
I'm glad you said that, because these are steps that are general in nature, but they can change, and they don't necessarily have, the shock can come later.
Right.
Or the anger could come way later. But these are the general processes, but great point. I'm glad you mentioned that. The next one is bargaining, where you try and negotiate with somebody, or you negotiate with the police, or you negotiate with heaven, or you negotiate with whoever you can negotiate and say, hey, if I do this, can you do that?
Exactly.
Did you go through that?
I think I went through that not with Nicole, but I went through that with the cancellation of my wedding.
Okay.
And that's when I think it was like in the negotiation stage, in the bargaining stage, is where I learned my boundaries, because I found myself negotiating with my therapist, negotiating with my ex, negotiating with my fellow psych patients, and. Yeah, but that the trauma with my cancellation of my wedding, that was when I started doing the negotiation.
Okay, that's a great example. Yeah. Appreciate that. And then kind of the end game of the dive model is depression. Yeah. And you have a happy gene, I have a happy gene. I mean, most of the times I see you're pretty happy. Yeah. I think I'm generally pretty happy. But there are times where you just feel depressed.
Down,
I mean, talk about that.
So I just said down. There's a difference between, oh my God, I'm exhausted, I feel blue, I feel down, I feel exhausted, to clinical depression.
Okay.
And if you don't catch yourself with all of this, and once you hit the clinical depression, it's when it gets really hard to get out.
Okay.
So is there hope to get out? Yeah, but the whole point is like chipping away at all of this, so then when you get depressed, it's not going to be so traumatic.
Yeah.
Right? It's not going to be so magnified. Do I get depressed? Absolutely. I mean, my God, I was in a psych unit, right? It's like part of my DNA now. My brain is wired differently now. So yeah, I have moments where I'm depressed. But again, now I have tools to get myself out. I'll feel it. I'll sulk. I may stay home for a day. And my friends are like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. Right? But I feel it. I don't deny it.
Okay.
And then I'm able to move on. But I sit in the pain.
Right.
I have to sit in it. Otherwise, it's just not going to go away.
You know what
you can't dodge it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you said sit in the pain. When I'm volunteering up at San Quentin Prison, we call it sitting in the fire.
Yeah.
It's like you
got to sit in it.
You sit in it. It's painful. It's ugly.
Yeah.
But it's also necessary. You cannot heal without sitting in it.
Yeah.
But I love what you said, because depression, the remedy is doing exactly what you just did. Talk about it.
Talk about it.
And that's one of the many things I love about you is, it's like, hi, I'm Tanya, and there's all kinds of spectrum here. Some are really wonderful, I'm proud of it. Some are kind of embarrassing, but I'll talk about it all.
Exactly, because I know I'm not the only one going through it.
Right.
Yeah.
And you help a lot of people as a consequence. You're a great example as a consequence of that. So that's
my goal.
So cool. So the dive stage is really where the trauma owns you. You do not control your life. You are stuck in that trauma. It owns you.
Right.
And there's this helplessness, there's this blame, there's this bitterness where you are just flat out stuck.
Yeah.
I mean, am I missing anything?
You're stuck. And people with depression, unless you've really experienced depression, you will never understand it. I mean, we can understand it in a clinical term, academic term, but unless you've really experienced, it is like, I explain this and describe it like this in my book. It's like all your skin is, like your nerves are exposed. You have no skin on your body whatsoever. And the coldest air is hitting you. So imagine the nerves are exposed. You're getting this cold air. I mean, it is painful. You can't get out of bed. You don't want to socialize. You've lost all interest in activity. So when people go through grief and trauma, they isolate. And then because they're depressed. So that's the whole goal, is that we don't want you to stay in isolation. We don't want you to stay in the depression, but we need you to feel it and experience it.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. I have not experienced, I don't think, clinical depression. I'm trying to relate to it, but it sounds to me like it is a very disabilitating, shutdown thing where you really need to seek professional help.
Absolutely. When you get to the point of where it's maintaining and sustaining itself, that's when you need to go and talk to a doctor.
Okay.
Here by college, it says 66 to 85% will experience trauma. Suicide is high. It's rampant on college campuses. Why? Because kids are depressed.
Yeah.
Why? Because there's societal pressures.
Yeah.
So if you've lost a child or a loved one to suicide, try not to put on that blame on yourself, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas.
Right.
Okay? People who think about suicide, who actually attempt the suicide or follow through and actually succeed with it, we don't want to die. And I say we because I escaped it.
Right.
So we don't want to die. We're just tired of the pain and we're tapped out.
Yeah.
But again, unless you've been there, it's hard to understand.
I appreciate you saying that. Suicide, if you're thinking about suicide, please don't.
Yeah.
I've talked to people at the homeless shelter who are talking about suicide.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing I do is just listen and try and understand and not pass judgment. And there is help.
Yeah.
There is help. And people who, like with your work and your skill set, can really help with that, who have been through that.
Right.
And you attempted suicide, and you're very open about talking about it.
Very open, because it's real. I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
So there's an acronym for HOPE.
What is it?
Hold on, pain ends.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on, pain ends.
Yeah.
And again, just equip yourself with the tools and resources. I always say don't be ashamed, because rather seek therapy and get judgment from people who don't like you anyway, probably, because people who pass judgment on you aren't really your true friends.
Right.
That they would really understand you. So my thing is, rather seek therapy and be on this side of the grass, right, than have one less friend.
Yeah, and make sure you get someone qualified, because some well-meaning friends or others might give you bad anecdotal advice.
Exactly.
May not have the skill set. I don't profess I have the skill sets. I just am someone that will listen and keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
That's all I can offer, because I don't have that. I may have a doctorate degree, but it's not in that specialty, so I respect that. But I'm someone can tell me something and I will not repeat it ever.
Yeah.
Find someone like that, or better yet, find a professional that really knows how to work through that. Because the good news is everybody's life has value. Everybody's worthy, and everyone in that situation understand others have been through that. You've been through that, and seek that help.
Exactly.
Okay.
You're not alone.
Good. So we've talked about the dive stage where the trauma owns you. Let's move into where we survive and we kind of stabilize and we kind of get our footing back.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So the first thing, we've kind of already talked about it.
Sit in the fire.
is to confront the issue honestly.
Right.
Don't hide
it.
Don't bury it. Don't pretend it doesn't exist. Don't ignore it. Don't make fun of it. Confront it.
Right. Welcome it. Make it your best friend. And that goes back to mindfulness. We've talked about that in the past, where it's like, just sit in the pain. And then as soon as you can do that, healing, acceptance, all of that will follow.
So that's that. Of any step here, that might go down as
the most important.
The most transitionary step.
Yeah.
Is confront it. I have sat and spoken to so many men. It's a men's prison. I'm not excluding women, but it was a men's prison. I've literally sat and talked to murderers, rapists, kidnappers. These are not jaywalkers. These are very serious crimes. And they all tell me the same thing. I had this life of shame. I was embarrassed. I held it in, and I was triggered. I committed a crime, and now I regret it for the rest of my life. Had they confronted it and talked about it, they would be doing something else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the next step is kind of interesting. This is a lot of work. This is to kind of sort out the stuff and untangle the guilt. Guilt and shame are two different things.
Very different.
Guilt is I did something wrong.
Right.
I was a jerk.
Yeah.
And I take responsibility and I apologize
Yeah.
for being a jerk. Shame is my family didn't have enough money.
Right.
Okay. And I feel ashamed. That's where the word shame comes
Exactly.
from. So talk about the difference between guilt and shame and kind of untangling the two.
Okay, so guilt is like just what you said. I mean, you said it perfectly. Like, why did I do that? Why did I behave that way? Why did I hurt that person? I feel so bad, speaking in layman terms.
Right.
If I didn't say that, my relationship probably would have stayed. So there's like an internal guilt. Shame is like, oh my God, what will people think of me? I'm embarrassed.
Right.
Hence the reason why victims of domestic violence and sexual assault, people involved in the Me Too, I mean, I'm amazed people are coming more forward now than ever.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of shame. What will my friends think? What
Yeah.
will my family think? With victims of domestic violence or intimate partner violence, again, I'm so embarrassed. I don't want people to think that I'm with this violent person.
Right.
Right? So there's a lot. I like the word, like, I'm so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed that this happened. But again, when you sit in that fire, you acknowledge it, you accept that, oh my God, I feel so bad. It's taking ownership.
Right.
Like, okay, I messed up. I take my responsibility for the share. And then the shame decreases because you've owned it.
Yeah.
Once you own your circumstance, you own it, it doesn't own you.
I love it. Okay. And then step 8 is to experiment. That's to kind of try out new life skills.
Yeah.
And show some self-care and some love for yourself.
Exactly.
I like the teaching, love your neighbor as yourself, but
Right.
you can't love your neighbor unless you also respect yourself.
Exactly. I always say you need to have a love affair with yourself first.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
Before you can have a love affair with somebody else.
All right.
Like I stayed away from any dating or anything for 1 year. I've been working on me because of the trauma.
Okay.
I worked on me. I worked on my self-care, worked on self-compassion, self-love, things that helped me do that. I read devotionals, I still do.
Yeah.
I journal. I look at myself in the mirror and just go, Tanya, you're awesome. Doing affirmations, right?
Okay.
And I have a little thing that I call a God box that my sister Dominique gave me.
Oh, nice.
So it's just a little box with a cross on it, and inside were little cut up pieces of paper. So anytime I'm in this stage, I'll go in my little God box and I'll write down a word on one of those little pieces of construction paper. So far, I go through the alphabet. Okay, so A, I'm adorable. B, I'm beautiful. C, I'm courageous. D, I forgot what I wrote.
Dependable.
Yes, there you go. So that's those are just simple tools and skills that you can do tonight to lift you out of this. Again, it doesn't happen overnight. Be patient with yourself, but at least you're showing yourself, okay, I'm okay. I'm actually a good person.
Totally cool. So we've just covered experiment number 8. Let's go to acceptance, where we kind of hold ourselves and others accountable.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
It's kind of, again, when you can own your own responsibility. Say, for example, we get in an argument.
Yeah.
Right? I take responsibility for my part. You take responsibility for your part. To me, that's healthy, having a great character.
Yeah.
It's when you live down, I'm avoiding, I'm dodging, so what? I hurt that person. That's being narcissistic. That has poor character.
Yeah.
So you keep mentioning my dad through, some of these segments. My dad has had great character. As you know, we lost Daddy 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But great character. My mom, great character. You want to be with people who have great character. You want to be around the people who you want to emulate.
Yeah.
Right? You want to hang out with like the Oprahs of the world.
Yeah. Well, and there's a saying I tell my kids, some people serve one purpose, and that's to be a bad example.
There you go.
You can learn a lot from a bad example. And, I'm sorry to bring up a bad example, but OJ reminds me of a person who never took, he never accepted, he didn't have the character to say, I made a whopping huge mistake.
Yeah.
That's just a lack of manhood, it's a lack of character.
Exactly.
So that's the way it is.
Or even saying, I'm sorry that you lost your sister.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you lost your daughter. We never got any of that. So people have really bad character, and again, we all get that visceral feeling. Pay attention to that.
Yeah, but people of character take accept what they stand up for the good and the bad.
Exactly.
Okay. So awareness. That's where we kind of take a mindful approach of our personal strength and of transformation. We're starting to think about big changes.
Exactly. So I'm a big advocate for mindfulness. It's like, okay, let's sit again. It's like, let's sit still. Let's be quiet. Let's have that quiet time to do self-reflection. What's the lesson in all of this? Did this person or situation come in to my life for a reason? What is that reason? But we can't get to awareness if we don't sit quiet.
Yeah.
Awareness comes to you in your most quiet times, but it's so hard for people to be quiet.
Yeah.
So it's it's a skill set.
Okay.
It takes time.
Cool. So we've talked about the dive. We've talked about kind of stabilizing, and these are all steps to kind of get our footing back on, where we accept it and we hold others acceptable. Taking people to court, is sometimes necessary.
Them accountable.
Holding people accountable.
Right.
Whatever we need to do. Untangling our guilt and shame. We've kind of covered all of that where you stabilize. Now let's get into the fun stuff where instead of the trauma owning you, you own the trauma.
Exactly.
You take control of the situation. Okay, so number 5 is passion. It's faith in God or a higher power. It's being spiritual or an exponential awareness. And this is really kind of a ticklish topic because religion and spirituality, a lot of people have emotions about that, or they had good experiences with religion or bad experiences, or it's just a ticklish topic.
It is.
There's no way around that. And I know you do, totally respect that.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed over and over again is that for those who really thrive, always, inevitably talk about some connection with nature or God or Jesus or Buddha or Mohammed or whatever that is. They need to make that connection.
Right.
Have you seen the same thing?
Absolutely. Okay, so after when my best friend Troy died in 2000, my faith in God went out the window. Like I hated God.
Okay.
And there's actually a great book on that. It's okay to be mad at God.
Okay.
Or it's okay to hate God or something like that, because it's very real. Anybody who is on a healing path has some sort of spiritual connection.
Right.
In the world of recovery as well, it's not just working the steps, it's a spiritual recovery.
Right.
So having some sort of higher power is essential. Nothing was more lonely and more dark than when my faith in God went out the window.
Right.
I was like, holy cow, Troy finally got his life together. And then you took him? Like, I was mad. But again, it was all my pain because I hadn't snapped yet, right? It was all my past pain coming up.
Okay.
Hadn't quite been exposed yet.
Okay.
But reaching out to something bigger than yourself is so critical. It's so critical. Otherwise, because you can't do trauma on your own. You can do your support group, you can do all of that, but sitting down in prayer, meditation, whatever that is for you, walking, it does wonders to your soul and to the healing.
Yeah. So this is really, if you're going to thrive, this is the starting point.
The starting
point. It's there, that's positioned there for a reason.
Really fast too. I remember when Nicole was killed, we had a shrine on our dining room table for months with candles, right?
And that had the big painting of her behind it.
No, we hadn't gotten that one yet.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was just on the table, and then, people from all over the world were sending us letters. I mean, the Browns, Dana Point, no address, and we would just get all these letters.
Wow.
And I remember my mom and I, we intersected at the shrine, I guess we want to call it. It was like 3:00 in the morning. And my mom's reading these letters. And she says, Tanya, we're not really religious people, are we? And I said, no, we're not religious, Mom. I go, but we're spiritual and we have faith. And that will always be, I will always have that in my heart.
Yeah. Cool. Connection. And that's to accept support and form new ways to love ourselves and to love others and relate to others.
Exactly.
You cannot thrive on your own.
On your own.
There's just not. I had this crazy case where Sergeant Yukoi in Guam remember that Japanese prisoner of war that
Yes.
hid in the jungle for 28 years?
Yes.
That, believe it or not, was one of my cases.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I actually went to his cave because my clients own the land where he hid in a cave for years and years and years.
Oh my gosh.
That wasn't really thriving. I wasn't really surviving. There's what I'm getting at is there's no examples of people doing something really monumental or successful on their own.
Yeah.
It's always a team sport or a
tribe.
team activity.
Right.
So we got to connect with others.
Exactly. And in today's world, it's so hard because we live behind computers and technology, iPhones. I'm not dogging Apple or anything like that. But we do live behind technology. You know, take those breaks. If you're an employee, take your lunch break. Take a friend out to lunch. Get outside, connect,
Right.
and leave your phone alone. In New York, I forgot what it's called, but in the middle of, you know, having friends dinner or whatever at a restaurant, everybody had to put their phone in a basket. And the funny thing is that if somebody's phone turned on, the first person to grab their phone had to pay the bill.
Oh, I'm going to do that with my kids.
Right? Because it's an addiction.
I love that.
So the whole point is put the phone in the basket, and if you pick it up, you're paying the bill.
Boom.
So connection. Went to a local restaurant here a couple of years ago, not too far long ago. Group of maybe 15 kids, each and every single one of them.
Yeah.
You know, go out and play. Connection, we don't know how to connect anymore.
Right.
So I encourage families to encourage that.
Love that. Okay. Forgiveness, let go of the past, work and grow to realize new possibilities.
Yeah.
A lot of people have this myth in their head, and they've heard this lie, and the lie is forgive and forget.
Yeah.
You're not going to forget that your sister was murdered.
Right.
Impossible.
Right.
It's a ridiculous notion.
Yeah.
So how do you reconcile forgiveness with forgiving and forgetting, and what does real forgiveness really look like?
Okay, so the moment I forgave OJ, I'll never forget it. I was sitting in church, and it was probably like, I don't know, 3-4 years in, and my mom was always my model. I just wanted to be like my mom because she was just such at peace and forgiving. And I just remember kneeling down, going, God, help me forgive this man. Just help me. And it did, and it helped. I mean, overnight, no, but the conversation started.
Wow.
So forgiveness isn't about, you did me wrong, let's go do lunch.
Yeah.
I'm just going to pretend whatever happened to us is out the window.
Yeah.
No, it's not that. It's cutting off the ball and chain of this event, whatever this event is for you, cutting off that ball and chain, right? And being able to be free from it. It's like even with my trauma last year, I have forgiven the people that didn't have my back last year. So it takes work, but all of this can't happen if you're dodging it.
Yeah.
You can't dodge it. You got to sit in the fire.
Yeah.
And I love how this all goes, you know, again, though, it's not sequential because, I mean, it is, but you'll fall back into certain areas here.
Got it.
But forgiveness is huge. So you can let go of the past, move on. And I want to encourage the viewers is that we all have experiences, but don't make that experience your identity. Right. But identify with it.
You've said so much great stuff there. I mean, it's hard to unpack all the good stuff that comes from you. But, you know, when I think of you, I don't even think of OJ anymore. That's not you.
Right.
You are this, you know, friend who's doing cool things with their life and coaching others and, you know, a strong academic background. Your identity, you know, a lot of people will associate you with that for obvious reasons, but you're a whole different new person now. And that's really cool. So on forgiveness, what we've kind of established for forgive and forget is a myth. That's a lie. Yeah. Toss it out.
Toss it out.
And it's interesting, something else I picked up on is you know, OJ's never apologized.
Never.
I mean, he's wherever he is.
Right.
But you were able to forgive him anyway. You don't have to sit and wait for an apology from the jerk to forgive them. Yeah.
Exactly. So as you know too, well maybe you don't know, but in the world of recovery, I think it's like step 9, make amends. Okay? You make amends for yourself without the expectation of them accepting it.
Okay.
So Denise and I, we had a huge falling out after my breakdown, which now I call a breakthrough.
Okay.
But we didn't talk for a year. And so I wrote her a letter apologizing my behavior, okay? She wasn't ready to accept it, and I had to be okay with that. And it was hard. I mean, that was a whole other therapy session. But try not to say, I'm sorry, with the expectations that somebody else is going to accept your apology. You do it for yourself so you can forgive yourself. And that right there is showing yourself self-love and self-compassion.
I love that. Okay, awesome. So forgiveness, we've kind of talked what it is and what it is,
Right.
and also timing.
Yeah.
It takes some time.
Oh, it takes a lot of
for,
time.
for some of these wounds to heal.
Right.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
And then we're up almost at number 1. We're at number 2, resilience. That's where we kind of reframe our thinking. In business school, when I was at UCLA, we'd call it frame breaking, because it's like you have a framework for the organization and you smash it against the wall and you reframe everything.
Exactly.
So that's reframing. You set new goals, you have new meaning and a newfound spirit.
Yeah.
You're kind of like
Free.
redesigning.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think we should, and I like that, redesigning. And I think we should always be redesigning ourselves, because we're not the same person that we were a month ago. We're not the same person we were 6 months ago, or even last year.
Yeah.
So when you go through all of this, you become resilient, you become confident, you become kind of like, in layman terms, bring it.
Yeah.
Just bring it. I got this. And if I don't, then I'm going to tap into my toolbox and try to figure out which instrument I want to use to get me through it. When we go to resilience, we need to set that goal. We need to schedule ourselves in the self-care, doing self-love, so then we can become resilient. But if we just kind of go through life without a plan, and that's setting goals, we need a plan. And if you don't have that plan, you're just going to be messy. You're going to be messy. And that's happened to me numerous times. But when we do the self-care, you become resilient.
Okay, very well said. We're ready for numero uno. This is a big one. And a lot of people skip ahead and cheat and look at the end game. They look at the last chapter of the book, kind of, so to speak. Gratitude. This is where you have really worked through, and I use the word work on purpose.
Yes.
This is all work.
Oh, it's all work.
Okay, so we're working through the
Self-work.
steps, okay? We eventually have a reframing, step number 2. We hit number 1, gratitude. It's a heightened appreciation for life to contribute and give back. Gratitude isn't saying, hey, I'm really glad this horrible thing happened to me.
Right.
That's not saying I'm glad this happened. But I am grateful for the growth that happened. I am grateful that out of this, I was able to contribute and help other people. Is that essentially what you think? You tell me.
Absolutely. I say thank you to my past relationships. I say thank you for what I experienced last year. I had a phone call conversation with my ex who canceled the wedding back in 2004.
Oh, wow.
We just had a conversation, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago.
Wow.
And I said to him, I go, I am so grateful. Oh, he said something like, I'm so sorry I put you through that mess or whatever. And I said, don't apologize. I said, I am grateful because I am who I am because of what you did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because if it wasn't for him to cancel the wedding, I never would have been able to face my trauma, even recognize that I had trauma. I thought I spoke about all my losses. I thought I grieved over Nicole. I thought I went through all of it.
Right.
I didn't.
Wow.
So I was able to say, don't apologize. I'm grateful that you canceled the wedding and put me through what I went through, because I finally became the person I am today because of you doing that to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So maybe we're grateful that it did happen, like a
Absolutely.
premarital divorce kind of thing.
Yeah.
Better before than after.
I'm grateful, and I'm grateful that for the experience that I had last year, because people come into your life for a lesson.
Right.
And that lesson allowed me to sit quiet for almost a year. I mean, not literally quiet. That's hard. But to sit in my pain in the fire,
Right.
so I can assess what was my lesson in this.
Yeah.
So I grew from that.
Yeah.
And I am grateful for that mess that happened.
Yeah. Where we are actually happy for the growth, for the new kind of awareness.
A new life.
Yeah, a whole new life.
A whole new life.
And that's what a thriver looks like. I mean, here's our thriver. I brought a living example. But yeah, you took a dive.
Yeah.
You went through all this.
All of it.
And then you eventually thrived. That's post-traumatic thriving. That's the process. We've covered it in a relatively short amount of time, but everyone needs to cut themselves a little bit of a break because it can go on for months, years, even a lifetime to work through this.
Absolutely.
But there's a roadmap to kind of help us navigate the path a little bit easier is hopefully what we have.
No, this was great. I want to say one more thing because it just kind of came to mind where when you get to this point, the thrive stage, I don't go through all of this anymore. I mean, I went through anger a little, obviously, last year, but this dissipated. But this I don't do. This
Bargaining.
I don't do. Right? Bargaining, denial, shock. Again, I'm in that bring it because I've thrived. So I've experienced resilience, but I will experience depression.
Okay.
But I don't experience all 5 anymore, or the rest of the 4. Why? Because I've done all of this.
Right.
And it's made me resilient.
So if I got that right, you've kind of reframed your whole brain so that when a challenge comes and you say bring it, it's like, I can do this.
Yeah. I've gone through worse.
Okay, yeah. This is all you got?
It's like, come on, bring it.
Okay, I like that. Don't mess with Tanya. Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much, Tanya. This has been spectacular,
So
a
fun.
spectacular discussion. Listen, core IQ, it's the skills we all need. We're not generally taught in school. Maybe we are through the school of hard knocks.
Yeah.
But usually our teachers don't talk about this. That's why we're having this conversation at Core IQ, because we want to elevate the core IQ of everybody. This is a nonprofit educational foundation. You go through this website, you take the core IQ test, you take the different episodes or courses. There's never a charge. It's all free because everybody deserves access to this skill set. Absolutely. So thanks for watching. Make sure you like it and share it. Discuss it with your family and friends. And we're going to just keep elevating our core IQ. Thanks.